imported and exported goods, hindering effective business planning and placing traders at a disadvantage compared to their regional counterparts or competitors. Number 4, further compounding the issue is the alleged unprofessional conduct of the taxman's enforcement officers and the high interest rates imposed on local businesses ranging from 17 to 36%, contrasting sharply with the more favorable conditions afforded to foreign competitors, particularly Chinese firms who benefit from lower credit rates and an additional business incentives. It looks to us in the FDC that the government in power today prefers to give better conditions to foreigners and have totally forgotten the plight of their citizens. The NRM has chosen to favor Chinese and Indians at the expense of struggling Ugandan business personalities. And just to let the country know, taxation is not only limited to business enterprises. The new proposals also touch the very core of our economic activities as a country. We all know that nearly 80% of the citizens of Uganda are employed in agricultural activities. That is the backbone of our economy. This backbone of the economy hasn't been spared taxation. Coals and agricultural inputs, in our view, should be zero rated, so that the manufacturers or importers can claim import VAT. Exemptions of agricultural inputs means input VAT cannot be claimed and hence is transferred to the poor farmer, and this causes an increased pricing for goods. This is very dangerous, and the government of Uganda should not trade in this area, because they would be killing the very core of our economy. It is our view that what is causing this tendency of increasing the tax burden on Ugandans is mainly because, number one, we have engaged in wasteful expenditure. This wasteful expenditure being accrued by the servicing of a opulent lifestyle of our political class, and bourgeoisies who are living off the blood of the bleeding people of this nation. The second area is wasteful expenditure. And you have heard about this project in Lubowa, whose foundation and the hoarding is the mabati around the site, is rated at 600 billion shillings. Enough money to build 100 primary health facilities at the rate of about 550 million shillings each. We have heard about the financing of luxurious lifestyles of people in position of responsibility. We also know of the huge administrative expenditure that our country is faced with. A big wage bill for a huge parliament. And it's our people who have to pay through the nose. This must stop. We are also faced with the menace of theft. People stealing directly from what should be going to serve the people of this country. It's because of those reasons that our business people, the farmers that make a living, are having to pay huge taxes. There is also waste that is manifested from projects like the one I have cited. You find Pinetti, I don't know, citizen of Italy, being treated in a certain manner, being given such huge amounts of money. Some of this money being borrowed money. And that is an area where we as the FDC are calling on government to wake up. Today the debt GDP ratio stands tall at 53% as projected. The debt burden on the people of Uganda is now going beyond 89 trillion shillings. And yet we still think we have a government to talk about. Therefore, as the FDC, our call to the government and the Uganda Revenue Authority is to engage stakeholders so that the plight of our traders and businessmen is attended to. Despite the elaborate and harsh tax enforcement mechanism put in place by the government, which has increased the tax base when URA annually collects 31 trillion from Ugandans, FDC is concerned about the discipline in borrowing. You borrow money and lies idle somewhere instead of being put to proper use. You borrow money and it ends up in pockets of individuals instead of being used for the welfare or well-being of the people of this country. You borrow money to service opulent lives, styles of privileged individuals of this country at the expense of the citizens who are the taxpayers in this country. We cannot service such loans, and we are also concerned with the wastage of taxpayers' money. If the money collected from Ugandans was put to better use, Uganda would be a better country to live in. And we as the FDC have consistently made this promise to the Ugandan citizens that if we were in power, we would serve their interests better than the groups that are in power today. And therefore, I must say that if this kind of mistreatment continues, the FDC as a party will not hesitate to join the traders and the farmers of this country, not just by talking, but in the actions that we shall be announcing later. Today, we are making a wake-up call to the government of Uganda to treat Ugandans fairly, whether they are in the business sector or in the agricultural sector. I will now address myself to the issues relating to what happens in Mora and other places related to the demise of our sister and founding leader of the FDC, veteran media activist, whom we laid to rest on the 13th April 2024 in Koloin, Kapir sub-county, in Kapir constituency of Mora district. Our sister Sarah Peru Tino succumbed to a kidney-related illness in Kampala. On behalf of the FDC family, both locally and internationally, I extend our sincere condolences to the Peru family upon the loss of their beloved daughter and mother, grandmother, Sarah Peru. She was a remarkable politician and a journalist of high standing, and one of the founding leaders of the party. Until her passing, she served as the party branch chairman, secretary, general secretary of Kapir constituency in Mora district, and had before been the chairperson of the FDC in Mora district. She held different positions, various positions, including being the former deputy spokesperson, party branch chairperson for Mora district, and party national women league spokesperson. We honor her commitment and resilience in building a better Uganda, dating back to 1989, when she that is disrupting communication. when after the massacre of 69 individuals, including her relatives, in the train wagon in Okunguro, in Mukura, of the then Kumi, happened, Sare Peru began to oppose the current regime. We had hoped that Sare Peru would be buried in an organized and peaceful manner. So even as our thoughts and prayers go to the Peru family and the people of Mora, we feel extremely disappointed that chaos ensued at her funeral. We are concerned about the behavior of our colleagues who have now settled down in Katonga to oppose the FDC party, who attempted to politicize the funeral of our sister Sare Peru Tito. They transported a group of people from Kampala, Wakiso, from Bunyoro, from Ankole, from Jinja, and Uganda, purportedly to provide security at the function, but ended up humiliating mourners by conducting body searches and turning away individuals wearing shirts with the portraits of the Mora woman member of parliament, the Honorable Apollo Isu Stella. They showed no regard whatsoever for the sanctity of the Catholic Holy Mass, which was being conducted at the function. They kept moving around and causing tension among mourners. At that stage, mourners questioned the intention of these individuals at the funeral. Even their purpose, if their purpose was to provide security for Colonel Besigye, it should be noted that Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye was not in any danger, and that there was a presence of police to ensure peace and security for all mourners. The action by the vigilantes angered mourners, particularly FDC grassroots leaders from Teso. Their disruptions attracted the attention of officers in charge of the officer in charge of Colwyn Police Station, who instructed them at least to sit down or leave the area. I must say at this point that Dr. Kiza Besigye had all the times he went to Teso been received warmly. And I can attest to this coming from the region and working with Dr. Kiza Besigye for the last 20 years. That at any time in his engagement with the Teso community, he had never come under attack, or his security had never been compromised in any way. The resistance of the group that composed of muscular bouncers, trained kanyamas, towards the security even angered Mona's father and our leader's father, causing the proceedings to be halted with the parish priest, Monsignor Reverend Father John Riao, concluding prayers, the final prayer before the body was taken to the graveyards. We as the FDC believe that this chaos was instigated by Dr. Kizza Besigye, who deliberately undermined the representatives of the people, including the woman member of parliament, Honorable Stella Isodo, and the national leadership of the FDC. We are also extremely uncomfortable by certain statements that were made by our founding president, beginning from a church service at St. Jude, Nabu, where he said that I am not his leader, that his leader is Lukwago. And this is recorded in the media. We can only have one president of the FDC at any one time. The matter of leadership was resolved in the National Delegates Conference that sat at Ngogo on the 6th of October, 2023. I cannot impose myself to be the leader of Dr. Kizza Besigye, but I can speak with authority that whoever does not believe that I am a leader of the FDC indirectly says they are not members of the FDC. Dr. Kizza Besigye can have his own choice of leader, but I dare to say he cannot and will be never allowed to impose any leader on the FDC party. Never. That one I have to be categorical about, and that the leaders of FDC will always be elected and recognized in a manner as is stated within the Constitution of the Republic, the Constitution of the FDC. As a party, we condemn the unfortunate events of Saturday, the 13th, where the burial of the late Sir Peru was heavily politicized, and yet should have been a solemn occasion to remember and give the final goodbyes to the Honorable Sir Peru. Some people wanted to take advantage of the situation to gain politically in the region, and we didn't allow this. It's regarding the efforts of the local organizing committee led by the woman MP for Mora district, the Honorable Apollo Stella Isodo. For the arrangements for the funeral were meticulously planned by this committee, which had worked tirelessly since Sarah passed away last week, only to be disrupted by the Katonga team on the day of the burial. The leadership of the party was also accused of stealing Sarah's body. I really want to take offense at the way in which our MPs, the Honorable Mbale who is here, the Honorable Alobo and the Honorable Isodo. And our Secretary General, Najanankumbi, were accused of the unthinkable, stealing a body of our sister, a dead body of the niece of Nandala Mafari, just because our friends in Katonga were so mean to Sara Peru and failed to engage funeral services, that we moved in to engage when the situation was becoming desperate. If they couldn't produce 9.5 million shillings for funeral services, and yet they have money to run around the country politicking, how then can they prove to this nation that they actually treasured the work, the hard work of Sara Peru, and that their association with her was beyond politics? We would like to urge Colonel Kiza Besigye to refrain from using force and violence for political gain. You have seen a clip circulating today where somebody called Jennifer Dalong Karunji, who was part of the chaos in Mora, in Koloi, mobilized the overrunning of our office in Masindi and the public banning of posters belonging to the President, the Treasurer General, Secretary General, and the condemnation of our party chairman, the Honorable Jackson. All this is financed by the Katonga. Something that they should extremely be embarrassed about, and something that we will not tolerate as the FDC. We continue to hold Sarah's family, particularly her children, in our prayers, and wish that her soul rests in peace. We also promise, as an organization, to pursue the cause that Sarah pursued and was not able to achieve during the time of her life. Finally, and very quickly, but before that, also to thank our Secretary General, Nanda Mafabi James, Nathan, for being magnanimous in providing medical care to Sara Peru as she was journeying the path of her sickness. And her sickness, she started getting attacks since the year 2015. She had to go through expensive medication that many times had to be procured from overseas, Britain, America, and the rest of you. Would also like to appreciate him for providing for Sarah's upkeep for a long, long time. And so, any sensible person would never accept the narrative that Sarah Peru wasn't helped during her time of need, and that we in the FDC chose to steal her body. And I don't know to take it where. This is the greatest insult we have ever received in our 20 years of existence. On the consultations being conducted by our friends in Katonga, I would like to say that the formation in Katonga is not an organ of the FDC. Neither is it an appendage of the FDC. And therefore, in our eyes, whereas Dr. Kiza Besigye and his group of adorers are free to run around the country to do whatever they want, they have not been authorized by the organs of the party to conduct business on behalf of the party. And so anybody dealing with them, deal with them at their own risk and probably peril. In recent weeks, we've witnessed our colleagues traveling the country to consult on the following four issues. Number one, the possibility of the formation of a new political party or pressure group. Number two, forming their own pressure group, joining existing pressure groups and all political organizations. Number three, reconciling with the party leadership. And number four, using outright or raw force to take over these premises. The FDC party has no issues with any member leading FDC. We establish a new political party or formation, or even inheriting another political organization. The Uganda Constitution guarantees this freedom under Article 29, 1E, which states, and I quote, open quotes, every person shall have the right to freedom to form and join associations or unions, including trade unions and political and other civic organizations. Close of quote. Additionally, within the FDC, there is freedom of entry and freedom of exit. Our colleagues operating at Katonga Road as a pressure group have the option to develop into a fully fledged political organization if they desire. As we do not coerce anybody to stay in the FDC. They will not be the first group to leave the party to form new ones. We have the vivid example of the Honorable Betty Olive Namisango Kamia Romwe, a key founding leader who left the FDC and chose to form a new party, the Uganda Federal Alliance, in 2012. We outlived her absence and we continue to march on. Our former party president, Honorable Major General Retired Gregory Gishamuntu, together with a host of members of parliament and other leaders, who left the FDC to form the Alliance for National Transformation in 2019. Will therefore not be worried at all. Will not lose sleep even a single day if Dr. Kiza Besigye and his accomplices decided to move out of this organization called FDC in 2034. He was leader of the FDC and voluntarily decided to leave in 2012. He has been passively resisting the leadership in Najanankumbi for 4 years now. But the party has made true to its mission and vision, and we will continue marching even without him and his group. We would like to say that anybody having the intention to use violence to overrun the leadership in Najanankumbi as a method that now seems to be gaining traction by our colleagues, needs to think a second time. We will not tolerate anyone using force to remove legally elected party leaders from the headquarters. If they resort to violence, it will be met by an appropriate response. Violence will not be tolerated by us, and our friends need to know that nobody has a monopoly of violence. This will be addressed decisively. We have been promised and threatened with such attacks many times, such as the Tuja, or Tuja. But it has become a familiar refrain from our colleagues. They are free to do what they wish, but it's our duty to defend the party. And anyone who attempts to attack us will get a taste of their medicine. The party welcomes reconciliation, and we want to hail our friends, our chapter in Kasese, that has been equivocal on this. We also want to hail the special committee, Elders Committee, led by the Honorable Frank Abuiso, Professor, that was adopted, the report that was adopted of that committee of the Special National Council sitting on Friday, July 28th, 2023 here at Najanankumbi that recommended dialogue as a way forward to settle the current impasse. But as we talk about dialogue and as I conclude, anybody who is interested in dialogue should not set any conditions for dialogue. I have heard our friends saying before they come and dialogue with us, the leadership in Najanankumbi should step aside. What a joke. It's a real day training. That won't happen. And if that is what dialogue is going to be premised on, I want to say now that there will be no dialogue with those friends of ours. It won't be there. I say this in peace and place the challenge to them to humble themselves to the authority of the leadership in Najanankumbi. Come to us and dialogue without conditions. I say all this for God and my country. One Uganda,
one people,
one
Uganda.
Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your kind attention. We were joined by the Vice Chairperson of the party, we are also joined by Deputy Secretary in charge of administration, Ms. Aga Glory. We were also joined by the Member of Parliament representing the people of Soroti County, Soroti City West, John Obo, Eboa, Jonathan. Colleagues, let's open the floor for the question and answer. Yes, let's start with you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Power. My name is Rose Ibrahim from New Vision. From 2001, 2006, we all witnessed a strong FDC, and it almost took power. And it was based on its slogan, one people, one Uganda. But as for now, it seems to be vanishing. So, does FDC still believe it is growing strong or weak? Then second, how is FDC ready for the 2026?
Another
Thank
question.
you.
Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Mayamba from NDS.
You're from where?
NDS. What do you have to say about accusations that Dr. Besigye is doing what he failed to do as the FDC president, going around the country and mobilizing, and also talk about your inactivity as a party?
President,
my name is Mbale. I work with the VDS refinery. And my question is about the mobilization of Dr. Besigye as FDC Najanankumbi. Do you have any plans of going to court and challenge Dr. Besigye's mobilization? Or do you have any plans of writing to police stopping Besigye's mobilization as FDC Katonga?
Yes.
From BBC, you at any single time regret the confusion created by Katonga?
Another question?
Yes,
Generally,
I'm called Sylvia Katusha. I'm a journalist at Daily Monitor. Last year or this year, you came out and said the people of Katonga were using your party flags and party symbols, and you
what media house?
Daily Monitor, and you slated going to court. But to date, we have not heard of any case. But have you gone to this time around? Have you gone to court?
Are we done? The question is okay, let's allow the president to respond.
Thank you very much for those interventions. My friend from the New Vision, which part of the country have you been? In order to
his question.
Now,
From that question about, and also a conclusion about our strength as the FDC.
you asked the question.
You confidently say that we are diminishing as a political organization. It is true that we have experienced a bumpy ride along our way. These 20 years have not been easy for us. And this even applies from the time that Dr. Kizza Besigye was a leader here, our president. You know that, as I've said, he has now sort of left and began to resist the same organization that was key in forming. We lost a former president and a former secretary general and a number of members of parliament. We moved into the election of 2021 not very well prepared. But we said we will take the fight where it is. And I'm sure you know that we have registered political dividends out of that. Of course, as we're settling down from the last election, then the false allegation of dirty money is brought right here. So we have concentrated in putting our house in order. And how I wish we use that extra energy to fight the dictator. And in a way, this appeal also goes to our friends. Why do they fight the people without the ball? If our friends from Katonga, led by Dr. Kizza Besigye, had expended their energy in fighting the dictator, maybe we would have advanced to a certain level. But they are fighting people who do not have power. Yet the person with power is there. In Nakasero and in Entebbe. So everybody should really be questioning the intention of these people. Whom are they working for? And I will answer that question. They are working for selfish interests. These are personal interests that they are working for. Our plans for 2026. I would like to invite you, my friend, to read our strategic plan. Problem with some of you journalists, you're supposed to be reading. You don't want to read. And you come to a press conference to ask me obvious questions. So, gentlemen and ladies, and our viewers and listeners, the FDC has a strategic plan that states what we are going to do from 2022 to 2027. And within that plan is integrated specific actions that we are going to take ahead of the election of 2026. But because you don't want to read, let me